I have bad news for you. Stop saving money. Saving dollars is going to make you poor. Cash flow should be the only thing you worry about. Now, before you click off, let me explain.
Stagflation, a scenario of high inflation, weak growth, and elevated unemployment, has become a topic of concern for economists and traders amid U.S. trade tariffs, sticky services inflation, and slowing GDP growth. Recent tariff hikes have pushed costs higher for many imported goods, and consumer inflation expectations have risen, with annual headline inflation projected to approach 3.9% by year-end as tariffs are implemented. However, the argument for stagflation remains limited due to continued weakness in goods inflation, which is really where tariff pressures should be showing up, and they haven't yet. The latest data shows overall inflation steady at 2.7% in July, with softer price increases for many goods and even ongoing declines in energy and gasoline prices. While producer costs have started to rise, much of the inflationary momentum is concentrated in specific categories, not broadly throughout consumer goods.
So the first reason why you shouldn't save is because of inflation. Now, at the time of this recording, we're currently going through a lot of hyperinflation. Just recently, gold has gone up to $3,621. And when gold goes up, it's not a good thing. Gold is a hedge for inflation. Now, if you don't understand how gold works, gold and the dollar is like a promissory note. So basically, in a bank, they're supposed to have gold reserves, and the dollar is supposed to match the gold bar, or let's say 1 ounce of gold. Now, let's say that bank decided to start giving out more dollars than the gold they have, right? You know, that's called stealing or called inflation, because what you're supposed to do is, if one ounce of gold is worth $1, then you're supposed to, if you're giving away $2, you're supposed to have 2 ounces of gold in reserves. But instead, what they do is they still have that 1 ounce of gold, but still giving out dollars, which causes inflation, which steals from you, because now you want to buy something. Let's say you save $30,000. Let's say you worked for 30 years and you saved $30,000 in the year 1990. In the year 1990, a Toyota Camry was worth maybe about $10,000. Now, a Toyota Camry is now worth $30,000. You know, you didn't invest your money and do anything. You just saved the $30,000, and now your $30,000 is worthless. At the time when you saved it, you was able to afford 3 Toyota Camrys with your $30,000, and now you can only afford one. And soon enough, maybe next year, you probably won't even be able to afford a Toyota Camry with $30,000. This is what inflation is, and this is why you should not be saving. Now, the other reason why you shouldn't save money is because we have competition with the U.S. dollar. At the time of this recording, we're competing with a society or a group of nations called BRICS, right? BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And soon, BRICS would take over the world reserve currency. So right now, at the time of this recording, the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency. But we're seeing a shift little by little, where people are selling off the dollar instead of holding for gold. And then after that, after people hold gold, they will eventually transfer to BRICS currency. Now, we don't know if BRICS will eventually create their new currency called BRICS, or whether it will be the Chinese yen. So now the question is, if we know we shouldn't save money, because we know inflation is going to eat up our value of our dollar, what should we do? What is the next solution? And honestly, just focus on cash flow. Meaning, stop focusing on saving money, but focus on bringing money through your investments. And that means that's either any way possible. So that's either through a business, investments like gold, Bitcoin, things that brings recurring income. Now, I'm going to give you a few examples in a few seconds, but first, I want to actually read something from the Bible that actually talks about this. In the Bible, or in the book of Matthew, this verse is called the parable of the bags of gold. It says, "Again, it would be like a man going on a journey, who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he has gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also, the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. So what is this telling us? Even the Bible tells us, you do not save money. You do not save money. You invest your money, because money that is saved does not grow. Money that is invested does grow. So always put your money to work, because money that's hidden or held or saved will always lose its value no matter what. You must invest your money. All right, so now back to cash flow. What exactly should you invest in instead of saving? So first off, I'd actually like to say that Bitcoin, at the time of this recording, Bitcoin happens to be the best investment in regards to hedging against inflation and also making a return. Now, I know a lot of finance gurus, financial analysts like to always recommend gold or S&P 500, but after doing the research, the S&P 500 this year have only gone up 10%, while gold year to date has gone up 33%. And I actually don't even really want to recommend gold. I mean, you should invest in gold, but gold is morely a hedge rather than an investment. Meaning, gold only goes up when there's inflation. Meaning, you're not really profiting, if that makes any sense. It's just going up with the inflation. That's pretty much it. Can you profit off gold? Yes, sometimes it does. You do profit, but majority of the time, gold only goes up when there is inflation. But with Bitcoin, it goes up with inflation plus profit. S&P 500 at the time of this recording, it's not even something I would recommend, because it's not catching up with inflation. Inflation at this time of this recording, in my calculation, is about 120 to 130%. Now, the government lies and says, inflation only gone up at most was 9%. And I would say at the time of this recording, it's 2.7%. That's wrong. If you do the math, for example, if you want M&Ms, right? M&Ms used to be $1 if you get at the deli here in New York. Now, if you get M&Ms, they're about $2 to $2.50, depending on who you're asking. That's not 9% increase. That's more than 100% increase. If you go get McDonald's, right? McDonald's probably in before the pandemic was maybe let me say a burger, maybe it was like $1 or $2. A cheeseburger. A cheeseburger now is about maybe $5-6. If you're lucky, you'll maybe find it for $4 or $5. But that's more than 100% inflation. So I don't know why the government keeps telling people 9%, 2%, whatever. No, it's above 100% inflation. So I will at the time of this recording, I will only recommend something as Bitcoin that would kind of catch up with inflation. S&P 500 is not bad when inflation is really under 2.7%. I mean, under 10%. But there shouldn't be no inflation in the first place, because inflation is robbery. They normalize 2.7%. But invest in the S&P 500 after inflation has actually calmed down. And even then, sometimes I'm even afraid to even, have my investments in the S&P 500, because it's still the US dollar. Your US dollars in there versus having Bitcoin. So God forbid, let's say the US dollar crashes. Well, at least my investments is in Bitcoin. So I can transfer my Bitcoin to the next best currency. So at the end of the day, I will only just truly always recommend Bitcoin. So the next method of cash flow is real estate. Now, I'm not talking about the United States real estate, because I know at the time of this recording, the United States is currently going through its highest inflation of real estate. Meaning, from 2020, a home that's worth $100,000 is now worth $1 million in 2025. Crazy. So let's say, matter of fact, let's just say you found a home for $200K. Let's say, with the current interest rates, it's gonna be hard to pay to even rent it out, because let's say you get $200K home, your mortgage would probably be like $3,000 a month, and the market rent is like $2,000 a month. So it's not possible for you to rent. Nobody's gonna rent it because while you're trying to rent a house for, let's say, $4,000, because you need to make that, the spread, the difference. Somebody can just rent somebody else, to another apartment was only worth $2,000. So you can't really rent in the U.S. You can't really. It's really hard to do it now. But what you can do is you can invest in overseas properties, and that's like a big trend I've been seeing lately. So you can buy homes in the Philippines, right? Japan, I heard, is cheap now. Latin America, Colombia, Roatan, Belize, even the Caribbeans. Buy homes, buy international homes, rent them out, or even use them as Airbnb. That's a good, that's another good form of cash flow. Now, the last method of cash flow is just open up a business. It doesn't have to be a sexy business. Just do what others have always been doing. And you don't even yourself need to know how to do anything yourself. So here's what I mean. Let's say you open up a plumbing company, an HVAC company. Do you need to know how to do HVAC or plumbing? No. But you can find somebody that knows how to do HVAC. And then you find the clientele, the customers who need HVAC. You give them a price, they pay you, and then you pay your workers. Now, boom, we have cash flow. It could be anything. A restaurant, an app. Now it's easier to make apps because now you have vibe coding with AI. There's so many different things you can do now, So pretty much what I'm trying to summarize what I've been saying, guys, is if you want to do cash flow, find something, whether investing in Bitcoin, crypto, stocks, real estate, in a business. Now, more advice from the Bible. This comes from Ecclesiastes, chapter 11, verse 2. And it says, invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. Meaning, you have to always keep cash flow. You always have to keep invested. If you watched all the way to the end, guys, thank you so much. Please leave me a like so I'm promoted in the algorithm. And also subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Also, guys, leave a comment. I want to know, what exactly are you guys doing to fight inflation? I want to know in the comments below. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.